It looks like we got one viewer. Let a few more people get on here. Hi guys, y'all ready for a good show today?
Ready to go.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate having you on.
You don't talk about it, be about it. Let's go.
Let's go, showtime. Busy Bee Lounge. We got 11 people. We'll get to about 15 people, and then we'll take off. Give a couple, another 20, 30 seconds, and we'll have at it.
Give Daryl a few more miles down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta stop.
Yeah, we have Daryl hauling cattle through Alabama right now.
We thought he was looking for a Buc-ee's.
We got to find somehow to make money to pay for this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, we can get started. Hey, guys, I'm Casey Pittsburgh. This is episode 1, take 2, Legends Live podcast. My co-host, Mr. Daryl Pittsburgh, also my father. He's the owner and operator of Pittsburgh Cattle. Our goal with this podcast is to provide a place for people who work hard to make a name for themselves in this industry. Today's guests include Antonio Ruiz, owner of Serbesa Cattle Company from San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Our other guest, Mr. Todd Hyde, owner of XL Santa Gertrudis from Santa Fe, Texas. Our first attempt at this podcast did not go as planned out of the Houston International Livestock Show. Today is our chance to give the audience another chance to hear what these guys have to say and what information that they can help us out and just have a good time talking about it. Hey guys, thanks for coming. Mr. Antonio, if you want to kind of introduce yourself and let the audience know who you are and what you're all about.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me once again on this podcast and including me as a international member of the Santa Gertrudis Breeders Association. Like it's been mentioned, I'm from Honduras, Central America. We run about 150 dairy herd. We mix in Holstein, Brown Swiss, and give it a little bit of that resistance and hybrid vigor, mixing up with some Brahman and the Santa Gertrudis. And then we run about a 50 head cow herd of Santa Gertrudis, and we produce seed stock. It's been the traditional way, selling your top bulls, your harvest of your weaning bulls every year. Trying to take it to a next step. We're already jumping in very heavily in the past, I would say, 4 years, with having our strong cow power based in the U.S. to have, the facility of doing some international sales and refreshing our genetics with genetics that we have not had in our herd. I would say our herd is probably heavily based on Went and Grizzly genetics, and over the past probably 10 years, it's been kind of going back and forth between bulls that we decide with Daryl that will benefit our project. So that's pretty much what we do. We also run Serbesa company, which is actually here in Honduras, an advising and consulting company where I do reproduction work, all the ET work, AI work, ultrasound, the top-notch technologies, and work around the best genetics we can find internationally to place them in Honduras and bring to the producers, at a much more fair price. It's a lot easier being a salesman when at the same time you're a cattleman. So, you know what people really need and make it affordable as well and more efficient.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited to get to know more all about that. Definitely some interesting things coming from our international folks. Mr. Todd, introduce yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I want to thank you guys for having me on. I'm glad that we got to do a repeat, a round two after our first try. So I know you kind of briefly introduced me before. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Todd Hyde. I help my family. We based in Santa Fe, Texas. We own and operate Excel Santa Gertrudis. And I would say it's really a family type affair. My dad, he does quite a bit. My mother helps out as well. And we run about a 50 cow purebred operation. I would say that we have a strong focus on phenotype and show cattle, and that's kind of what we focus on. But ultimately, we focus on cattle that people can use, go out in the market, and then they can ultimately, profit from. They can put in the herd for many years to come. We use quite a bit of embryo transfer AI to improve the herd, just like Antonio mentioned, kind of some of the top bulls out on the market uh, to just to improve and grow and really put out the best product that we can. Ultimately, that's the ultimate goal.
Awesome, and we've done business with both of y'all. Both of y'all are awesome people, and we're honored to have you here today. To get a few of the questions started off, um, what got y'all into the cattle industry? Todd, you can start this one,
Yeah, for sure.
and how has that changed?
So whenever we originally got into the cattle industry, my family, and this was back when I was really young. My family they purchased land, and it had a commercial cattle herd on it. That being said, we've grown it out into eventually a purebred herd. The commercial cattle that were primarily on that land in the early 90s, they were a Santa Gertrudis based herd. They weren't papered cattle. And those cattle, they they were independent cattle, self-sufficient, and they really needed very little oversight on our end. So that being said, it was kind of a pretty simple choice to go with a purebred herd of Santa Gertrudis, and it was an easy transition into that. They made great commercial cattle, so there was really no reason why they wouldn't make a great purebred herd for us. I mentioned a little bit where we are today, straight purebred herd, and then we focus on embryo transfer, artificial insemination to improve that herd, and we've kind of grown it out into about 50 purebred females, and it's ideally looking to grow it out a little bit further as well. So that's kind of where we are and where we started.
Awesome. I definitely know some of my favorite cattle that I've seen over the years or looked out in the pasture and saw was some of our Star 5 cattle. So the commercial side of it is definitely a big part of the Santa Gertrudis breed.
Right.
Mr. Antonio, what into it?
Well, in my case, it's one of those situations where it's not really like one day you decide, hey, I'm starting. I was born into it. I'm a fourth generation rancher in Honduras, third generation Santa Gertrudis breeder. So it's one of those things where, you were born into it and then you just become an aficionado, you just, you jump into it and that's definitely what you keep doing, and you see the efforts that your great grandfather had, how he started with very little, and then it grows, it gets more powerful. You create a name, you have a reputation to maintain. You definitely need to love it and have a passion for it, of course. Um, and like I mentioned earlier, we do. It's a generalized ranch focused on tropicalized milk production and cattle that can do well in the tropics, and give us that good beef production, and at the same time have all that tolerance, give us the quality, have the amount of calves you need each year to be successful, and then flush that out into people, and you basically have like your own lab, or like your own theater or scenery where you can come show people what you're doing, and then that's the evidence to be successful, and then take it on to where people, anybody who's bought a bull from us turns out being a client for 3 4 5 more bulls in the next 15 20 years. We always have our clients come back. So Yeah, I would say it's definitely something born into it, and you continue it, you develop that passion, and that's where it keeps going. And the main role I play is probably the reproduction. Just we do 2 to 3 rounds of ET every year just in the Santa Gertrudis. This year, we actually have 3 new clients. We're probably going to be putting in about 200 F1 Santa Gertrudis Holstein crossed with sex semen for people who want to have that hybrid vigor and cows that will give us marketable males and high producing tolerant females.
And what exactly are you looking for the Santa Gertrudis animal to add to your dairy animal, like the
Well,
specific trait?
it's pretty simple. Honduras is it's not a flat country. We have the probably 90% of the country is mountains and rough terrain. So you need animals that metabolize to maintain a greater body condition score. So since it's pasture based, if you only have purebred Holstein or Brown Swiss or Jerseys, it's pretty hard to pull off. And when you mix in something like Santa Gertrudis that comes with that perfect combination of an attractive animal, the cherry red color, heat tolerance, tick resistant, fly resistance, with that maternal ability. I would say maternal ability is the strong point. That is the go-to of why we use it. And it was visualized in the late 80s by my father and uncle when they got done out of college, and they just noticed how a whole bunch of the Gert cows always had these higher weaning weights, and these cows had these bigger udders than the traditional Brahman or eared cattle. And it was just when you mix that in with the dairy breeds, it works really, really good.
I appreciate that, Mr. Todd. Um, kind of going off of what Antonio was talking about having a bull to market to the public. What's a bull that's been impactful in your herd that has helped you build that kind of animal that you want to put out?
Yeah, I would. I think that it's important to have a strong focus on the females in the program. I think that you can get away with using sometimes mediocre bulls as long as you have really, really good females. And Antonio kind of hit the nail on the head when you talk about a Santa Gertrudis's maternal ability and really what she can do independently and autonomously out in the pasture. And I think that whenever we're going out, we're selecting females to flush and breed and really to kind of perpetuate that progeny from those cows. I think that that's really what we look at, not so much the sire side, but a lot of times the female side of the herd, and really what cows are doing it the best. What cows, like Antonio mentioned, are maintaining good flesh. They're still weaning off good calves year after year. Their bags still look good. We haven't had any issues with them carrying calves up to 9-10 years. Those are really females that I feel like we focus on because those are the profitable females for us. We want to make sure that those females are the ones that we're keeping and we're retaining calves off of. We still use really top quality bulls, or the best bulls that we can find, Copperhead being one of those bulls, and really combining those and then just keeping the best of the best. Again, flushing those females and trying to breed cattle more rapidly, put out a better product more quickly. I think that that's really been our focus and really how I feel like we've been able to produce some really good females that have been seen, out in the ring, and then that eventually make really good pasture cattle and replacement cattle for folks. So that's kind of where we're at with that, and I feel like that's our focus on what we do in our program.
Okay. I mean, that's awesome because just looking at our cattle, looking at our operation, we're very built around our females.
Right.
Our best heifer at the moment came from our best heifer 3 years ago, which was out of my first show heifer 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And those cows have been in our pasture until they're 12, 13, 14, 15 years old,
Right.
still making show heifers that are competing in the climate right now. So I think it's awesome to see kind of how
Yeah, and
what
I
you
think
did.
that I think that we can all agree that we tend to see it in cow families, right? We're focusing on cow families that are successful for us, and I think that the cow families that aren't successful, those are the ones that tend to hit the road as we're culling and we're moving through them. And the proof's really in the pudding, or the progeny that we're putting out. But those cow families just seem to do it better than other ones, and I think that that's important to really focus on and hone in, and I think invest in terms of, let's AI these cows, let's flush these cows, let's do more with these cows, because those are really the ones that I think that are going to take our breed from where they're at today and to where they're going to be at tomorrow and months and years down the road. And they're going to become really good investments in people that buy into our breed and purchase Santa Gertrudis cattle from us.
Yeah, I totally agree. Dad, what's kind of your input on how, the bull or the cow, what's your perfect combination of how you kind of work your operation?
Well, you've always got to start from the ground up, and they got to be structurally correct before you can do anything else. So you're going in there trying to find the right phenotype and genotype. You go in there and try to match up. Then after you find your phenotype, then you can go play with your numbers and your EPDs, because EPDs are very important right now in our breed and other ways across the whole entire breeds of cattle. So you don't have to have the highest EPDs. I think what you shouldn't be chasing all those single trait deals. That'll really screw you up. But go out there and find your right phenotype. And if you've got a niche, maybe your niche is all show cattle. That's okay. Maybe your niche is all commercial cattle. You're going to sell bulls out there. But you know what? You can make that same animal all in one. You don't have to chase. There shouldn't be 3 or 4 different types of cows. You should have putting your same group together. Like I told you before on one of the other podcasts, there's a commercial guy there that wasn't leaving with show bulls or bulls that had been, kind of developed. Well, that's the first 2 he picked right off the bat. So, I mean, you put the EPDs with the phenotype, with the genotype, the structure correct animals. The commercial guy, he loves the big, powerful, performing animals with the highest weaning weights. So that's where he's going to make his money, is weaning weights, pounds of beef mashed down to sale barn,
Right.
and that's where he's going to make his money from every year. So, you're looking for that ideal cow family, and once you establish those cows that are really working, you don't really need but maybe 3 or 4 cows, and then the rest of them you can use those for your recips or whatever else. But you can build your whole entire herd around 3 or 4 cows, and get your program going, and it'll be amazing how they all kind of come together.
I agree. That's awesome. Staying on the what we're doing right now. Let's put you up here, Antonio. See if I can add this. So something that Antonio has been doing over here in the U.S. We've had this heifer CP Miss 2022 017. A lot of the 017 genetics that Mr. Antonio has been working with. How have you seen this cow and this cow family affect your operation?
Well, so far it's the effects we'll start seeing them next year. I actually had the first 7 embryos imported from her last year, and they just calved, and I was lucky enough. We didn't do any reverse sex sorting, but I had 3 heifers born, 3 female calves born, which was amazing because I have no CVF 2022 genetics in my herd or anything coming out of that. And then with those 2 heifers that Colby showed previously, and then how her daughters have been selling with the stuff we've been doing with Daryl, she is really proven herself very consistently as a very strong maternal powerhouse that is that modern, moderate, functional cow that can do everything out in the field and at the same time go and win those trophies at whatever show against any other cow. And then to our surprise, this year she gave us this yearling bull which to us, his development and how he's just changed after turning 12 to 16 months
Yeah,
has
changed
just been
tremendously.
amazing. Everything he's been doing and how he's been changing is pretty consistent with what she is. It's pretty neat when you have a world champion named Cal. She goes to Houston, does very well. She was a reserve senior, I believe, in 2019, and was runner up High Point Cal. She was High Point senior Cal, High Point pulled, and now her son is coming behind her doing this 3 years later. That's when you really know you're nailing it. These things aren't really coincidences. It's just like you mentioned, and like Todd had said, it's like you have those cows, and just like you said as well, you have those cows that are 10, 14, 8 years old that won in the past, and then, hey, 3, 4 years later, their offspring are coming to win as well. That's when you know that, the job is being done. But D7 has definitely hit the nail on the head for sure. And we are really impressed. We are really excited with him. His promotion is going well. Now we need to get babies out of him to continue to demonstrate and prove that this genetic line is our way to go. And it's definitely gonna come. It's probably going to influence, I would say, and take over 70% of the genetics of my herd. Once we get them collected in the next couple of months, hopefully, if everything goes well, I mean, we're going to breed everything to them.
I think that's amazing because it's really cool just being a kid and being able to go out and pasture and look at her mom, look at her grandma, and be able to know who's calf because they all have that same look, that same eye appeal. You can look at a calf of 50 calves and you can pick out the calf that's out of an 017 genetic.
Oh yeah,
And I think that's awesome. I think that's going to have a tremendous impact on your herd and what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, it's like I mentioned, those 3 heifers I have that were just born out of D7 here in Honduras, they're just different. I mean, from the moment they were born, my dad called me and was like, "Hey, what's that from? Where'd that heifer come from?" I'm like, "Yeah, those are the D7 embryos that are born."
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Mr. Todd, going to one of your females that has had a humongous impact on your operation.
Yeah, the Abigail female. Yeah, she's I would say, I get a lot of questions about this cow, and a lot of the genetics that we haul right now are ET calves and even a couple of natural calves out of this female. So we were, I would say that we were blessed to have the opportunity to purchase that cow from Rockene Ranch from the Granger family. She comes from a really strong cow family. Her dam, Annabelle, was a 2-time Houston International winner. Reserve her first year, went back, was grander next year. And this is a daughter of that female. So again, a really good cow producing another good cow. We took this female as a 2-year-old, purchased her, and then immediately flushed her. The female that we've been hauling lately, Cleopatra, that won Premier. She was Reserve International in March. She's an ET daughter, Dreamboat ET daughter, out of this cow. We haul a couple of other females out of this cow. I just can't say enough about kind of what she's done for our program and how much of a producer that she's been. She's a consistent ET producer. Typically on each aspiration, we'll get anywhere from 15 to 20 embryos out of that female, grade 1s. So she's been pretty prolific of a producer in our herd. So Antonio mentioned, she's probably going to be, pretty influential in our herd in terms of most of the herd going back to her, because we plan on keeping quite a few females out of that cow. I think that she's definitely been she was a great purchase for us, and hopefully I think that she's going to be a good addition to the breed and hopefully improve the breed as well in terms of phenotype and just making good functional cattle that you can then add to your herd. So that's kind of where we are with Abigail.
That's awesome. Absolutely. What is now that let's put you back up on here. What's your greatest success that you would say that has happened to you in the cattle industry or in the goat industry?
Uh, the greatest success?
Yes.
Um, I I don't know. That's really a tough one. I would say, you know, we've really grown our herd out in the past probably 6 years. So, I kind of focus on the marketing for our operation, sale cattle, and then managing our show cattle as well. And I would say that, probably our greatest success or my greatest success has just been the marketing aspect of it, being able to take our herd and then show people kind of what we produced and then continue to produce good cattle that is a good end product for our consumer that customers there's a demand for. I think that for us, we've uh, I feel like the cattle quality has always been really good, but I think that part of it too was being able to market that appropriately and make sure that
Hmm.
the cattle were represented in what we were doing, and putting out more sale cattle, putting out more show cattle, that could really help drive consumers to us. So I would say that the marketing, venturing out, and implementing different marketing that works for us as a smaller breeder, I think has been huge for our success. So I would say that that's probably one of our more successful things that we've been able to do for ourselves, is just increase the marketing, and make sure that that we're representing the cattle appropriately.
Awesome. So you talk about marketing. There's a lot of people that are getting into this breed, and even a lot of people that are older that have been in the breed but can't sell cattle to their best ability or whatever. What's something you could give them that to help them market? What's something that you do that you've seen be a success that you would kind of give them some advice on?
I think the social media game is huge, and it's huge. A little bit about me, to take a step back. A little bit about me is I do my real job, outside of marketing and representing our show cattle, is I actually do pharmaceutical sales. So, and in that space as well, social media is huge, and I feel like I think that what we've really seen in the past 10 years is we've seen ranchers go from selling on Craigslist, which they probably think was new and revolutionary, to making websites and now taking it a step further, utilizing Facebook into their program to really market their cattle. And I think that whenever we look at the cost of marketing, digital is really the way to go. I would say use social media to your advantage. Use Facebook. It's for most of it, it can have a cost associated with it, but you can also use it free. And I feel like you're going to get a ton of bang for your buck marketing cattle that way, versus taking out expensive ads in Santa Gertrudis USA. I think that Santa Gertrudis USA is a great magazine. It has its place, and I think that it's a great source. But I think that most people, and I think we were a victim of that as well, to say, well, I'm going to put a card in the magazine and these people will call. It doesn't necessarily work that way. I think that from a marketing game, I think that you have to market yourself in a few different avenues. You need to use social media to your advantage. Also use Santa Gertrudis USA, and then things like this podcast is a great opportunity to get out, market the cattle. But I would say that for somebody looking to really increase their demand of their herd and sell cattle, I would say utilize social media. Start you up a Facebook page, follow Facebook pages that have a focus on Santa Gertrudis cattle or whatever breed of cattle you represent. I think that's a really strong push to sell some cattle and move cattle and create demand for yourself.
And also, Casey, I think that where Todd and Antonio both have used Who's Your Daddy some quite a bit, and that's two totally different countries. And Who's Your Daddy really hit a home run in Honduras, and Todd used to use some Who's Your Daddy back earlier, performing some of his genetics. So
Yeah,
that's pretty cool too. So what they have in common as well.
yeah.
What is Hoosier Day if someone doesn't know?
Who's Your Daddy's a missile son that went back to Diamond H Farms back in they were in the early 2000s, I guess. Chris Hunt back in Indiana, and Who's Your Daddy won a lot of shows, and we had a lot of seamen going to Australia, Paraguay, uh, Did a lot of export in Honduras and stuff like that with that bull as well. He was a big, deep-bodied, big-bone bull. That would be great today as well. They're still seen in CSS, but that bull kind of he stamped them and marked them and made some really stout calves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. We still use a little bit of that SEMA today. That bull, probably for some people that don't know, that bull was double bred a hammock cow. Is that correct, Daryl?
Yes,
and that hammock cow was a pretty tremendous female. I know that she produced a couple of really, really good cattle, good phenotype cattle as well, just big, stout, functional cattle that were really maternal. And I think that was one of the draws for us, was that she was double bred, or he was double bred, that hammock cow. And I loved the hammock cow. I thought she was an incredible female. So
yeah, 681 over 6, I believe.
Yeah, correct. Yep. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's crazy. 2 different parts of the world, they're still doing the same stuff and having success from it. That's pretty cool.
And Antonio, you had some calves. I know your daddy as well out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I even bought semen from him a second time. We're using him we used him a little bit last year, and then we used him very heavily. We're going to use him very heavily this year. And I even have I have 2 Roberto and some Cyrus daughters. And I really like to mix and go back and forth, because I think that even over time, where we look for something that's just popular, but there's qualities of animals from the past that can still be taken in advantage. Plus, him being polled is a really good for us, definitely. And he's just got that style, and it's a more old school look, but at the same time, his daughters are very feminine, very compact, modern. Structurally, they're just that very heavy, powerful cow that the market. Sometimes you want something a lot more modern, but people want they want to go into your pen and see those big cows. They're the ones that's what sells here, and that's what people usually go for. So definitely, I'm gonna give them a chance on some of the newer stuff and see how that mixes in.
Good deal.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to how phenotype should be our focus. A big bone, pretty cow is a big bone, pretty cow. No matter what her numbers say, what her papers say, she's out in the pasture looking pretty. So that's awesome. Kind of rewinding a little bit, give Antonio a chance to talk. What is your greatest success in the cattle industry, Santa Cruz industry, whatever you want to focus on?
I would have to say definitely I would have to say there's 2 main things. Probably when I finished all my academic studies and then came back to the ranch, came back to Honduras after being in the U.S., going down to Argentina to specialize in assisted reproductive technologies, all the ET, all the AI, all the ultrasound. When you hit that first successful embryo transfer all on your own, and then those cows are born, I would say that's number 1. And then I remember it was a family meeting, probably, I would say 8 or 7 years ago. And, following in my grandfather's footsteps for that passion of Santa Gertrudis, that, dark cherry red cattle that just you fall in love with. I remember at that family meeting saying, hey, I'm going to take this the big leagues. I don't want to be the best in Honduras. I don't want to be the best in the U.S. I want to be the best in the world. And then when you nail it, it's like, oh, my God. And it's definitely, sometimes some people, I guess, could say, well, it's something virtual and this, that, and the other. But, there's really no other way to do it. You can't hop a whole bunch of cattle on a plane and take them somewhere like it's the soccer World Cup. That's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So the way it's happened, and it's been happening, I think, is very correlative to the reality of these cattle. The animals that have been winning are definitely the top notch in the world. There's no doubt about it. So when you get to play a part in this, I went to an auction. It was my first buy, and it was, the first step, buying a donor cow. At that moment, I was decided between Freak and D7, and then it came around to be D7, and then she jumps into the shows and just starts winning everything as a 2-year-old, and then we got this awesome cow that's best cow in the world and is now producing probably what is going to be the best bulls and heifers in the world, very likely and very competitively with top breeders, like yourself and like Todd and everybody else, jumping into that after saying 8 years ago, I want to be with the best in the world. That is, I mean, I don't think I can beat that. That's probably the best.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we got
I mean,
you got Todd that's going to be going in really strong this fall, and you got Antonio stuff that's going to be going in really strong. It's going to be a great show season coming up with all the other competition as well. But these two guys here are going to be going at it here for a while, and it makes it fun. It's friendly competition, and you got to see who can do what. And the whole thing is marketing. Showing. Some people don't like showing, but you know what? That's our best marketing tool we have right now is the junior program and marketing show animals, because I mean that's what we strive to do and what we try to perform to do, and that's where some of our that's half of our marketing, and then the other half is now selling semen and bulls. So they all go hand in hand.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I just wanted to show my Miss World Buffalo and Miss Cammy.
there you go.
It fell it off a little bit. It fell off the wall. Talking about it. these are all Miss. I don't mean to gloat, but these are buffaloes right here. Were all won by Cammy, LLC Cammy 155. So.
Yeah, she was awesome. She's an awesome cow. She's still performing, and we'll start doing some more embryo work on her here this next 2 weeks as well.
Okay, speaking of marketing, our next little segue right here is going to be the 2022 Mid-Coast Santa Gertrudis Association. They'll be hosting the Cattlemen's Opportunity Santa Gertrudis sale on DVA auction. So we'll give Todd a chance right here to talk a few of his lots that he has in the upcoming sale. And
lot 14. So we put 2 head of cattle, one bred cow, very, very bred cow, and then an open heifer. So lot 14, 570. I mean, I had quite a few calls on this female. She's really an exceptional cow. And whenever we decided to put some lots in the Cattlemen's Opportunity, really we wanted to look at the herd and pick out some cows that we thought, were tremendous. And I think that we kind of hit the nail on the head with this cow. I mean, you look at her pedigree and she combines, 2022 that Antonio mentioned before. She goes back to the base of our herd, Red Hot 517, and then on the bottom side goes back to Ricardo, who was a high star bull from King Ranch back years and years ago. On the top side, she goes back to 5-bar E7, who's done so much for Betty McCormick over there at Woman Hollering, and then to kind of top it all off, she's bred to Honey Badger 1202, who was the sire of Callie Kimball's junior national champion last year, Valley Girl, who's still in the Benavita herd over there. She's 2 weeks away from calving, and I think that everybody will agree when they see this cow and really look at her video that, I mean, she's just tremendous. She's feminine, maternal. She's a huge, big square hip in her, and then tons of body for that I think is so in demand these days in the show ring. And she really just combines it all in a great package. She's got a beautiful udder on her. She's definitely probably one of the better cows in our herd. So I think anybody would be lucky to put her in the herd for sure.
Now, doesn't she go back here on the bottom side? She goes back to the one you won the national junior heifer show with too, right?
Yeah, she does. So Hannah 2S23. So Red Hot's actually he's an ET son out of that female in 2022. And I will say that Daryl, you'll probably agree with this. You don't see a ton of 2022 sons, and I think the general consensus on that bull was that he made amazing females, but sometimes the bulls were a little lackluster. And I would say that Red Hot was probably one. I will argue was probably one of the best ones that he put out. And I think, when you look at our herd and what he's done for our herd, and then he produced Honey Badger, who's done so much for other people as well. I mean, that family has really done a lot for the show ring and for a lot of breeders that focus on show cattle and have bred show cattle. He goes back to that female and 2022. So good solid genetics there for sure.
Yeah, and then that heifer that we bought up there at Colby's sale, that's a 2022 dollar also. So all of a sudden, all those genetics are popping back out again. We'll go through these different phases, and then you got to dip back in the well ever so often and pull it back out.
Well, I think the proof's really in the pudding on that bull for sure. Antonio kind of mentioned this before, even with Who's Your Daddy, is I feel like bulls that are functional and they produce good cattle that, ultimately you can turn a profit with. Those are bulls that I feel like people tend to leave in their tanks. And then, 10 years down the road, they pull those bulls back out. I can probably count on two hands the number of bulls that I can think of that Daddy included in there, but 2022. I mean, I don't think anybody would question what that bull's done for the herd. I think that, you'll see, and you will, I think if you study enough pedigrees, you'll see that bull. Antonio's cow goes back to that. We saw some really, really good cattle sell with 2022 in their pedigrees at Purple Rain a couple of months ago. I mean, that bull just really does an outstanding job, especially on the female side, producing good functional females that are winning in the show ring, but you can throw them out of the pasture. And like Antonio said, they'll produce cattle like his bull that go in and they win. They just do what they're supposed to do. They're good quality cattle. So. And then lot 15, Miss Strut, we talked about old genetics, new genetics. She's really that. I mean, she combines Strut 55. He's another bull you see in a ton of pedigrees. He's really a foundation type of sire. On the bottom side, goes back to one of our kind of foundation females that goes back again to 2022, that Hannah cow. And then Ben-Hur genetics on the top side, good functional Went genetics that make beautiful udders. She's ultra feminine. I think that she'd be a good addition to anybody's herd, and she's kind of a who's who on her pedigree for sure. She's a young heifer, April heifer, so she'll sell at 13 months old, so she'll be ready to breed shortly after the sale.
Yeah, and that strut, we used to have a strut fraternity back when I was growing up, and those females were just dominant. They were massive, big bone, big footed, really long fronted like this female is as well, good hipped. And those cattle came to the front, and you could sell those strut daughters crossed up with Hustler and those. You just sell those calves all day long, and you sure don't see that anymore. And that's another chance for somebody to jump in right here and get a female that's going to have a lot of longevity, and she's going to breed you some show cattle. So don't overlook this lot 15. She's pretty stout.
Hi, Dad. I guess we don't have pictures yet on these. We mainly only have videos. I can't get videos to upload to this thing, so Dad, you can run through these a little bit. I know we did them last video, but you're welcome to do them again.
Yes, sir. We got lot 52 is going to be coming in, and that's Laura Zabilski's female, which now she's calved and got a bull calf on her side. And this female right here is one you don't want to sell, but at the same time, this is what you have to do. Sometimes you got to put your better females in there because that's what you're trying to promote is your ranch and what you're trying to do. And this 12/0 that Avery and Harris raised, it goes back to Sherman Taint, goes back to Chunk, and goes back to the 466 female. Then on the bottom side, you go back to 001, and she's out of a Myers bred female. She's just a really, really stout female. If you're looking for something with a beautiful udder, she's got it. I mean, her udder, when it started developing, coming down, that calf's nursed, everything's good. Man, she's going to have a lot of longevity to her. And somebody, don't overlook this female. She's going to work for you and produce for you, and she's a great cow. Next lot is lot 53. Like I said before, we'll have a video on her on Thursday, and we'll send it to DD Auction. But this is a female, again, a copperhead daughter. This is a 3/4 female that goes back to 14/4 Harris. And look at the bottom side and the back. Here we go again, Avery and Harris, 12/0. That pedigree shows up quite a bit. They're just modern, smooth, balanced. Now this female everybody keeps calling wanting spring-born heifer calves. Um, this heifer calf on the side of her is stout. I mean, I'm gonna have to make. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to put her in the trailer when I go home. When I go to the sale on Friday, because this heifer calf is one everybody needs to be looking at, paying attention to. And man, she's a good. That's a copperhead daughter with a awesome bull calf. I mean, a heifer calf that's goes back to the forgotten one, and that forgotten one's got a .47 marbling, so he's going to move all these numbers straight up to the top. He's a junior trait leader. Um, then we got Bridge 300H, lot 54, and she just calved. So everything was heavy bred for the sale. So now she has a bull calf day before yesterday, and it is out the forgotten one as well. That Bridge 052, the females Joe Jones puts in that sale out of 052 are just tremendous. And here we go again, Todd. We're seeing on the bottom side 2022 showing right up again. And then it goes back to Harco 158. So 2022 has made a huge impact. This female right here, her triangularity is perfect. Her udder's great, so pay attention to her. Lot 55, this is a Hemingway daughter. This is one of the first Hemingway daughters we've let out. And it goes back to Fred 5/0. And oh my gosh, the money we made off of the Fred 5/0 bull is tremendous. He made a mart at Connor State College. He turned that whole program around up there. And on the top side, look at what she is, Red Solo Cup. That's what Emma Finley won the our fraternity this weekend, and she was out of a Red Solo Cup Letsy bred topside is what she was out of. So there's that strong genetics that you can jump right in there and go straight to the top. And then we have 56. 56 is a Grandview 112G female. She has got a January show heifer calf on her side. So all y'all kids are looking for those January, Februaries to show 2 years at Fort Worth. Here she is right here with that heifer calf coming to you on the side. So we look forward to seeing all y'all Friday after we get back from this world tour we're on today across the southeast, and getting all these cattle delivered and picked up, and then we're going to be headed to do some IVF work, and then head on to Brenham to look at this mid-coast sale. So I hope everybody gets a chance. If you can't make the sale, go to DD Auction, get on there. There's some great videos that got put up, and this is like a great set of females coming in. Everybody's going to have a chance to help their herd out, take them back home to improve.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate having you on. One thing I want to leave on and give y'all a chance to, once again, market and let everybody know what's on your mind and what's your goal for this year. So, Antonio, what is your one goal if you had to put a finger on one that you want to work towards and obtain this year?
Well, seeing that 8-7 is coming along, and then we have the 422H3 heifer who just calved a forgotten heifer. Wow, I mean, the focus is on those two animals this year, definitely. Probably the highest focus will be on the bull. Just, it's a lot easier to spread your genetics through semen than with embryos, just because of the volumes and how you can, AI so many animals, whereas with embryo transfer, it's going to be a little bit slower. But definitely, this bull is our focus for this year, his show season, marketing him the best way possible, as what he truly is. And he's just a functional, good-looking bull with excellent genetics, with very good EPDs as well. I think everything's on the top 25 percentile. So, I mean, that's very good. It's not something easy to achieve. And coming back from that bloodline, like I mentioned before, with that amazing dam and what all his sisters have been doing. And with him, it's a little bit more interesting because his sisters have done amazing things on both sides, and they're looking very, very good on both sides as well. So, coming back to the main point, our focus will probably be mainly on him. And then, by the end of the show season, the focus will probably switch a little bit over to that heifer uh, that is out of the Forgotten One, coming from these same bloodlines, because they're half flush mates. They're out of the same dam. Sorry, he's a step ahead. He's at a D7, and then 422 is a granddaughter. So we're really ahead, jumping into the next step. What's going to be coming around? But we definitely want to see what he does, and hopefully he will add to our program and to other people's programs because of his functionality, his looks, his docility. He's great. I mean, I think everybody on the team is excited.
I think that's awesome. I look forward to watching your journey. I look forward to being there right along with you, and you know, I think it's going to be really cool what happens over this. I think you're in a cool spot in your program, Tom, because like you said, you're going leaps and bounds of what you've already built on. I think
Exactly.
it's going to be really cool.
I think something important just to add there, and it's like I mentioned with Daryl, we're going to do the marketing, we're going to push him, he's going to go to shows and everything. But like I said, and it's one of the ways I advise and consult a lot of my clients here. When sometimes we look at dairy bulls or other beef bulls, and we look at EPDs, we look at the genetics, we look at progeny, we look at the ancestry, and it's like what I tell people: I do not advise or consult something I don't use. So whether our marketing works or doesn't, he's coming into my program. I mean, that's going to happen. So whoever doesn't want to jump on the boat right now, I'm not going to say it's going to be too late. Later, it'll just be, you won't have that. A year or two is a lot of time when you come to think about it. It feels like I jumped into the D7 genetics last year, and it's already going to be 6 years. I wish I would have flushed her maybe 5 more times the year I bought it. So yeah.
Like, yeah, that's how it is. I mean, you breed stuff and you support things that you want to see in your herd. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in our herd, and a lot of people's herd in the goat breed. So that's awesome, Mr. Todd. What is one thing you would like to what's your goal for this year?
Yeah, I think our goal really is, we've done quite a bit of ET work. It's to calve out ET calves for the year. We have probably 30 to 40 of those that we're expecting. We have probably about 12, 15 of them on the ground already, and then more throughout the end of the year. And I think it's really just, calve those out, get them on the show road, and then promote our donors. I think, one exciting thing for us is our 503 cow family. She was national champion produce of dam the year prior, High Point produce of dam the year prior. That female, unfortunately for us, doesn't flush very well. So then we made the decision, I guess it would have been a year and a half, 2 years ago now, to clone that female. So we have 2 clones out of her now. So there's 3 of those in production, or soon to be 3 in production. And then finally we were able to get one of her daughters to flush, that we haul on our show strain right now. So I think that, we're going to try to grow out that cow family, and I think that she's kind of going to maybe take our program to the next level. So, it's really just focusing on those females that have done really, really well for us, and promoting those. I think that this year you'll probably see us haul open a little bit harder, leaving Texas and going to some shows in the East, to promote our genetics and our display cattle. So I think that that's really just going to be our focus for the year, is hauling open a little bit harder, and hauling maybe a little bit farther than we used to haul. Next time we do this podcast, you may see me in the truck. I'll be like Daryl in the dark, just running that road in Birmingham.
Exactly.
So that's where we are. Hopefully, if diesel doesn't go up to $10 a gallon, who knows?
It probably will by then.
He'll be on a bike.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, speaking of your success, congratulations this past weekend at the premier warm-up show. Y'all brought several head up there, and y'all did really well. Ended up taking grand.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It was a great weekend for us. I will say that the premier group, we go to Midcoast, and that was our first time to haul up to Premier. It's a pretty good haul from us. It's about 5 hours or so, but I mean, it was absolutely worth it. I would encourage anybody that hauls a Santa Gertrudis heifer north of Nacogdoches. Go to that premiere show, join premiere. It was a great group of people, great show, well ran, and then also the Pitch for Futurity that you guys had was a huge success. There was some really, really good cattle in there, and I know that the kiddos that purchased cattle and used Pitch for Genetics were excited to be a part of that show. We saw some really good cattle walk the arena, and I think that y'all's Futurity was huge. I think that what's y'all's scholarship on that Futurity? Is it 3,500 for grand, and then there's a reserve? You want to tell people about that really quick? I know that you've put it out there, but for people watching, they might want to know a little bit more about that.
No, for sure. So for our grand prize, it's $3,500, or a $2,500 sale credit, or our reserve grand is $2,500 with a $1,500 sale credit. And so I think a lot of people, they didn't know what it meant to get in. And I mean, I post on social media, but a lot of people show up at the show and they're like, "Hey, I got 3 more at the house that I didn't even know I could have entered."
Right.
So if you buy semen from us, if you buy embryos, if you bought a bull from us, if it has a Pittsburgh brand on the hip randomly, if you bought it at our Pittsburgh Opportunity Knox sale, there's 15 different avenues to get your animal in here. And yeah, I think it went really well. Congratulations to Emma Finley on winning the scholarship, and Miss Bailey Wiley, the Wiley family, for winning reserve. Both families, both hardworking kids that, we were excited to see a scholarship get in their hands. And
yeah,
it was really, really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. That was your second time to put that on as well, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Last year was our first one. This year's our second annual.
Yeah.
And we plan to do it next year and the year after that, and hopefully get more and more people coming to it.
Yeah.
Appreciate
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Very much. Well, guys, if you have a question for us that you want to throw at me and Daryl, shoot it now. Anything y'all have?
Antonio, you want to put Daryl on the spot?
Uh-oh.
Yes. Put him on the spot.
I think that happens like every day. I think this question is going to be related to one of the previous questions we had last time, and something we kind of talk about, would be just having the breed have that comeback. It's coming. And what would be your strategy to, let's say, not lose ourselves in the path of the, I guess this is probably well said, but I mean, there's just a little bit of a war going on with the phenotype and the EPDs, and it's going on in every breed, and it's just crazy. And it's like, I think we need to remember the fundamentals, and this is where I want Daryl to give us his opinion of, we need to remember, and if the percentage isn't 100% accurate, but I think it is, is that phenotype is going to be 70% your environment, your management, and your plan, and 30% is going to be your EPDs. And it seems like we're putting 1,000% into the EPDs. And if you follow this in other breeds, it usually ends up in not a success. It ends up in a bad plan, because especially like here in Honduras, everybody does embryos, everybody follows EPD, everybody wants that number one top genetic based on EPDs, but they're not doing the 70% part. So how do we correct this? How would you correct that so that people, realize what they need to do and how to balance out the weights between these two ideals of the show, functionality, and what the market wants?
Well, in 2011, when I was sitting down one day and I was like, you know what, these EPDs have been the same as they were when I was a kid, and we have got to change this. So we were in a time zone where some of these I shouldn't say older, some of these more wiser people had kind of stepped down, and then it was time for us to kind of step up and take control and charge and push this breed forward. And David Harris and Joe Jones kind of went along with me, but we have to put phenotype with the EPDs. So as you're going through there, you got to find the right phenotype first. Go through there, match them up. Go find that bull or that female that's going to help that cow, breed those together, build upon that. But don't go start single trait selecting. Now everybody's like going crazy. They're chasing this marbling, and man, they're destroying the milk and everything else on it. We pushed this thing far enough, so I've watched the other breeds do it as well. So you have to balance your EPDs, see what that female needs, see where you need to make adjustment. I know Ralph Austin is starting to really try to figure these EPDs out and push now as well. It's a balancing deal. If you're just starting out, you can't go all the way to the very top 1% immediately. You've got to kind of balance it out, see what each animal needs, push to that environment. Because if not, you're going to come up with an animal nobody's going to desire. So you got to create a market that you like and the people like. So I don't know if it helps at all, Antonio, or not, but
Oh yeah, for sure.
But you can't just single trait chase these things because it'll.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's one of the small things I advise a lot of my clients, and kind of bringing it to a comparison with the marbling. It's like in dairy, people here focus on that milk EPD. You know how much metabolism requirements you need to satisfy or overproduce and be ready for that cow to get to that? And the environment's changed. So, that's one of the things that it's you hit the nail on the spot for that question where I kind of wanted to get to. And it's like this race. And I also ask people sometimes, when with some producers we use Angus or we use something different. And it's like, what's the best marbling bull? And, most experts say, well, what are you going to feed them?
Right.
So,
yeah, to kind of add into that, I think that we all just have to agree ultimately that there's no perfect animal, right? And what may be perfect to me is not perfect to you, Antonio, or you to Daryl. But like you hit the nail on the head, both you, Antonio, you as well, in terms of I think we need to look at our environment. That's going to determine what kind of animal that we need. Some environments support larger framed animals. I think that ultimately, it comes down to what we like and what we want to put out there. But also, sadly, it's what the consumer likes. It's what sells. It's kind of like you mentioned, Antonio, those Hoosier Daddy calves, you put them in a pen, they're big, stout, big bone cattle, and people relate to that. And that's the kind of cattle that they sell. I think to an extent, what sells is what we put out there, but it's the product as well. That's important. And we want to make sure that we have demand. And I think a lot of times the demand is in phenotype. We've got to have cattle that look the part. And then when they have EPDs that go along with it, that's just an added bonus. That's icing on the cake to me. It's not priority, but it's definitely icing on the cake for sure.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I think the way that we do it, and the way that we try to incorporate those females that we build our herd around. I think those females, if you keep that same trait that you're liking, that you're able to go out and find the bull that maybe has the EPDs, that maybe has the characteristics that may bring that to that female into your herd, then that's awesome. But you got to have that female.
For sure.
It's easier to have the female to build around, and you may not need to have one bull and it's going to change all your calves. It might be that one female that produces.
For sure. Casey, I think you guys do a great job with that. And I think there are certain breeders that do a really good job of that. And they're not scared to put high number bulls on phenotypically beautiful animals. It's one of those kind of chances you take because you're like, well, I want to improve the numbers. And let's face it, a lot of times the number cattle aren't necessarily, they're not showstoppers. So I think that you guys do a really good job incorporating and crossing those cattle to really improve the breed and improve the numbers. So I think that's a very admirable thing that you guys do for the breed for sure.
Yes, sir. And like you said, it's kind of a gamble, and you got to be careful with that. You can't just go out and be like, we're going to look at the papers and we're going to look at DPDs. You got to look at that bull's calves. Go out and see what that bull looks like. Is he proven? Does he have some calves that actually work phenotypically there? Because we've done that in the past where we're like, man, we want to get to the top. We got to get to the top now. And then I think my dad said on the podcast time before last, we had a whole group of calves that were like, we did it. And then we didn't want to keep those calves, took them straight to the sale barn.
Yeah.
And they were, $2,000.
Yeah, it could be a train wreck. And then you're like, I've lost a lot of revenue. because I did take a gamble. So it's definitely one of those things. It's always a gamble when you breed cattle, but I think, when you're sometimes doing it the way that I've seen you guys do it, it's even more of a gamble. And you guys have y'all made some really, really good calves out of those gambles for sure. I this weekend we were at Premier. Daryl, I can't see your box. You're black now because it's night where you are. But I asked Daryl. He had a female that was walking the ring, and she had something with a G2 brand, and he said, "Oh, that's a 191 daughter." I would have never guessed that was a 191 daughter. And to be quite honest, I would be very scared to use 191 to produce show cattle. But I would say that it was a beautiful, beautiful female, a female that I think anybody would say, I'd love to have that calf in my herd. She was gorgeous, huge body, big, powerful, and being a 191 daughter, EPD's through the roof, So that I'm sure Daryl can say was a home run and a mating that he's proud to have produced for sure.
Now we'll start fleshing her right after she calves, so we're gonna try to build back upon her as well. But gosh, her phenotype is so amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
So that's what you have to just hope for the best and then go in there. But when y'all are you don't have to have the top APDs, but just get some numbers going. There's some stuff now. We got to have some numbers to help market these cattle for other breeds looking at us and want to support us and help us. So, just kind of put both of them together and take your time. It's not done overnight.
Yeah.
So, just concentrating. Like I said, Ralph's really starting to work on numbers, and, there's a lot to learn. You can just jump in there and be totally lost, but in that mid-coast catalog, right inside, I think, page 2, it gives you the lowest to the highest, and you can go over in those categories and try to watch that and kind of learn see where the animal you have is, and what does it need. And then maybe go try to find some semen or a bull and try to match that up. So it's luck, time, and work. A lot of luck. Did I say that? So anyway,
I will say that I think that there's good options now.
Yes.
Copperhead's a great numbers bull. I feel like Midas has really good weaning weights and yearling weights, to where you can breed cattle that maybe don't have the highest EPDs for sure, but they're still going to breed you really good, functional, beautiful cattle that you can feel confident that you're like, hey, I'm going to still put out a really good product. As Casey said, I'm not going to have a load of sale barn calves.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
So then Daryl, I guess that leads into my question for you is, what's y'all's focus for the year, and what do you look to achieve this year? What's your goals?
Well, my goal is to try to win the National Junior Heifer Show. With if it's not something that we're showing, Gracie's showing, then maybe it's something we've sold. I hope something we sold can step up there and have good luck as well. And then to compete, we've sold semen this year. This is my goal. I pushed this bull so hard, and we got a lot of people using his semen. A guy sent me a picture today of a calf he had that was 2 months old. Oh, wow, he's really an amazing calf. And that got me all excited seeing that calf out there in somebody else's herd with a trump. And it was a trump daughter. So that was exciting to see the trump daughter used on Copperhead, because I think that'll work tremendously, and it did. It's an awesome calf. But now my focus, now is I got a bunch of little grandgirls running around. So that was really fun this weekend.
Yeah.
That was interesting, and it's something my cows are going to have to get used to, and I'm going to have to get used to. And that's what sugar.
You'll be hauling more kids than cows, Daryl.
Yeah, that's what sugar's for, But but anyway, now that I start getting all these females ready, because like Antonio said, he started his project 6 or 7 years ago, and now he's here. Well, I got to start yesterday to try to get all these grandkids cattle to compete for 5 to 7 years from now, because the trend's going to change. And Oakley, the female we purchased for Oakley 2 years ago, straights, we're going to have calves at the Junior National out of Oakley. So that's pretty exciting. That I named my granddaughter. I named the granddaughter's cow after her, and I was hoping they were going to be good, and they're really good. So I'm really excited about that with Yancey, and that started with Cynthia They've been they're tremendous people. But yeah, that's kind of my goals right now is that, and to keep all these grandkids busy and occupied, I guess.
All right, guys. Well, it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure. It's been a good time. We'll definitely do it again. Um, thank y'all for coming out. Thank you for all the information. Uh, y'all have a good time, and we'll have a few more things to say. But y'all have a good evening, and be safe in Honduras, Mr. Antonio.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take care.
Thank
Good
y'all.
to see y'all. Talk to y'all later.
Yes, sir. Thanks. All right.
Okay,
Casey.
Dad, you still there? You still there? Still on the road?
Yeah, we're getting ready to unload over here at Quail Valley right now, so we got to get these off and head on up to Tennessee to another guy tonight. So we'll finish this and get it underway so I can get this group unloaded. June 24th is our baby doll sale, and make sure everybody remembers that. And then this weekend is very important. We got to have a huge social gathering at Industry Texas down by Brenham for that Mid Coast sale. So man, those catalogs I got to study it today, and I tell you what, those cattle are ready now. They're good to go, and they can help your herd out. So, Casey, what do you have after that?
Nothing much. Just promoting the sale that we were going to have on June 24th. We'll have a bunch of awesome kids in there. We'll be 10 minutes away from the fairgrounds at Texarkana, and those all those and after that. So to help them out. Won that scholarship like Emma and Miss Bailey did this past weekend. So,
Yes, sir.
Going over those important dates to look out for. Like my dad said, May 7th we'll be having the Mid-Coast Cattlemen down in Industry, Texas. And then the Opportunity Knox Sale, like I just said, on June 24th, it'll be held on smartauctions.co. And then May 14th, June. So the following weekend after this Mid-Coast Cattlemen's Opportunity Sale, we'll be having the Mid-Coast Junior Show down at Grimes County Fairgrounds. And then that's when we all come together at Texarkana at the Four States Fairgrounds for this year's National Junior Heifer Show and Bull Show. Once again, we're excited to be giving away one straw of semen from PC Copperhead, 915C4. He's our Copperhead bull that we always talk about. We're excited to get his semen in the hands of a lot of good juniors and a lot of good cattle. So hopefully that's exciting. I look forward to that week. And Dad, you got anything to close it out?
Yeah, the only thing I got before we close out here, don't y'all forget now on smartauctions.co, we got the Urbanowski bull sales going on. I think it'll be over Saturday, Casey.
Absolutely.
So everybody take your time, go in there and pick out the bull you want. And Jerome's put you a really good lineup of bulls there to pick from. And I think it's a 5 or 6 day sale. So it just started and it's underway. And all you got to do is the bull you want, you touch the button and that bull is yours. So don't y'all forget about the Urbanowski sale. It's going on the next 2 to 3 days. So other than that, hey.
There's still bulls for sale. So you go check it out.
Yeah, and then you know what? If you're going to talk about it, be about it, Casey.
You're going to talk about it, be about it. Have a nice one, guys. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the podcast. See y'all next time.
Thank you.